68. He re-aggravated his ankle. We'll just kind of see how the week goes. I think he's in better shape than he was the first time. I do think that he feels better as far as being able to practice this week, so it's a little bit different than what initially happened where he missed time. So we'll just kind of see how the week plays out. Chuma, it's really going to be day-to-day for us. We did do an MRI, went through all the steps. It's kind of like a little bit of an ankle knee, but we're optimistic that, we got an opportunity this week for him to be able to come back. We'll just kind of see how he feels each day. Those were really the two that had issues this last game. As far as moving into next week, CJ, obviously, he's still going to be out. Warlow, we're just going to keep progressing in his rehab with the quad. Farley, progressing hopefully into a practice sometime this week with the quad, and then Dill Roberts is progressing as well. We'll just kind of see how this week takes us, and then Copeland, we're just gonna be smart with him through the week. We'll hopefully get him in practice at some point, but he finished the game. Obviously, he was a little sore, but we feel like he did well in the game. So with that, any questions?
Again, please press *3 to ask a question. First question, Rich, ESPN, your line is active.
Yeah, Adam, we didn't get a chance to, this is a two-part question. We didn't get a chance to ask you after the game, but what went into the decision to put Ryan Khalil on IR? It seemed he was on the verge of coming back. And secondly, along those lines, how has Jonathan fared in his place the last couple of games?
Jonathan's done well the last couple of games. Really it's just picking up kind of where he left off. I mean, his knowledge of the offense is greater than what it was when we kind of first started in the spring. Same thing in training camp. Feel like that he's done a good job of playing fast, and communication's been outstanding. As far as Khalil going on IR, that was just the decision that was made. I really don't have any further details on that.
The next question is from Manish, Daily News. Your line is active.
A couple times over the last, week or so that Sam had approached you to, take more ownership, of the offense. Can you just kind of go into a little bit more detail on what those discussions entail? And then most specifically, how do you, as the play caller, have to adjust or adapt when, your quarterback has that kind of discussion with you?
Yeah, it was really just one. It was just him coming in and just telling me what he liked and how he kind of saw how he wanted to play and what fit him best. And that's what you want. You want your quarterback to be able to do that. I think sometimes when you're a younger player, you're trying to feel everything out and kind of see how everything works and operates, and you're learning. And I think it was probably the right time, and he knew what he was getting really good at. He knew what was causing him to play slower, so he was able to exactly tell me what he was looking for and kind of how I could help him. And that's the direction that we went. And for me, that was zero issue for me. It makes it easier because now you're not guessing, you're not wondering what he likes and what he doesn't like. The communication factor there that makes just life easier if you're the play caller.
Brian from the Post, your line is active.
Yeah, Adam, when you look at your defense, what has been the key to the way they have played lately?
They played as a group, played with whoever's on the field, all 11 guys trying to do their job. I think, something that we just keep saying is, the play doesn't care who makes it. It's just everybody doing their job, and, the right guy will make the right play at the right time if everybody's doing what they're supposed to do. And I think on all three phases, that's really kind of been our focus. And, especially on defense, those guys have been doing that versus the run especially, and we're constantly working on things in the passing game to try to find ways to get that better. And I think our guys their mindsets have been right, and they've been trying to figure out ways to improve each week.
Again, please press star 3 if you have any questions for Coach. Star 3 if you have any questions for Coach. Ryan from the Post, your line is active.
Hey, Adam. Ryan Dunleavy from the Post. Could you just talk a little bit? You guys have had the 4 straight games with the opening drive touchdown. I don't know how much you can get into, but scripting plays, is that do you attribute it to that? How much of that is scripted? How much of that is on the fly? Because obviously you don't know the kind of distance you're going to be facing. And is there something you can build off there to the second and third drives of the first quarter?
Yeah, I mean, the first couple drives, the last couple games have been good. Like we always kind of script out some stuff to start. It depends. It could be 10 plays, 15, 20, 25 plays. I think last game I was on the script for like 3 plays. So, I mean, then it just, the distances started changing, the area of the field, so it starts moving around. I mean, it all comes down to, it's almost to the point where what we're calling is really almost irrelevant. It's just kind of guys doing the right thing, and if something's not quite right, then Sam's making the right decisions. He's finding ways to get outside the pocket and making plays. Guys are doing a good job in the scramble drill stuff. I mean, it's just guys are doing they're doing a better job as far as understanding how each other play. And I think that's just, time on task. I think they've done a good job of transferring practice stuff to the games.
Manish from the Daily News, your line is active.
Adam, when do you get a sense of kind of what your team is? And obviously 2 wins, they're great, but I know you want the players to keep a 1 week at a time approach, but as a coach, you obviously have to have a bigger picture in mind. So when do you get a firm grasp of kind of what you're dealing with as a group?
Yeah, I think it's easier when there's not as many moving pieces. I think we've shuffled the line around quite a bit this year. It kind of changes the run game aspect of 1 week it's we think we're heading in one direction, and then we lose a guy, and then it becomes a different kind of set of runs that we like with a different lineup and certain guys in certain spots. That's probably been the hardest thing to try to figure out, is what's best for us in the run game, and what runs are good with what guy in our offensive line. So that's really been more than anything just trying to really hone in on that. And then in the passing game, I think it has come to, we've had a little more consistency there, and have a way better feel for kind of what we do well and what we can execute really well.
Rich from ESPN, your line is active.
Adam, on Ryan Griffin, did you know, how much of this receiving element to his game is a surprise to you? Did you expect this sort of production when you signed him right there on the eve of training camp?
I think really what surprised me more than anything with him, I didn't realize how good of a blocker he was, both in the run game and pass protection. I guess I was thinking more that the passing game aspect of it was more his specialty than the other 2 things, and I think that's his entire game to me. The fact that he's a complete tight end is something that has really helped us a lot. Anytime a tight end, especially kind of the way that we were using them, especially the last month or so, where we're moving him around, we're trying to give him a bunch of different stuff, and just kind of, it worked out yesterday to where the ball was going in his direction. A lot of times we've run some of those same plays and somebody else has gotten the ball, and I think he just does a good job of doing the right thing at the right time a lot of the time. He's a smart player. He executes the plays very well almost every time that we're out there, and he makes himself available to the quarterback, and obviously there's a lot of trust there.
If there are any questions for Coach, please press star 3. Ryan from the Post, your line is active.
Adam, how about we get so wrapped up in Jamal Adams, but how about the big picture overview of the defense, and especially against the run, what they did with Saquon a couple weeks ago, yesterday, now here comes Josh Jacobs. And then Steve McClendon actually said that the way the defense pushes in offense, pushes in practice, might have something to do with the way the offense is playing. Do you see some correlation there?
Yeah, I think there is some correlation there. When at our practice, you'll see a lot of the times some of our starters jumping in on the scout team, and Steve he's one of the main guys that does that. He jumps in there for a few plays to get some reps on the scout team to really help work against our starting offense, which to me, it's usually when you see teams do that, it's been beneficial because he's going to do the right thing. He's going to play things right that the other team's doing, but at the same time, it's obviously when it's one of your better players, there's a toughness there that kind of it's made on the offense. So, what they're doing on defense is really it's the team defense aspect that you're always looking for. And when you play the run well, it's 11 guys all trying to do their job. We're always just going to keep working on eliminating explosive plays, trying to keep guys in second and long, and really putting staying ahead of the sticks in a defensive perspective to make third and long. And I think if we can do that, that's just going to always help our run defense.
The last question for Coach will be Brian from the Post. Brian, your line is active.
Yeah, Adam, it seemed like you got the other running backs, other than Le'Veon, more involved yesterday than they've been. What was the thinking behind wanting to do that?
I just think all those guys, they deserve to play. They practice hard every day. I think, we're trying to mix in some of the runs that we're doing, and I think, those guys, there's certain things those guys do really well. I think there's we're always trying to give Lev more things and try not to let anybody be predictable, as far as being able to say, hey, they're always doing this when Lev's in there, and, whether it be the type of run or pass or play action, whatever we're doing. So we're just trying to mix it up. We're trying to keep him as fresh as possible throughout the game, but at the same time giving him his touches. I feel like he's got a lot of touches, this entire year, and we're just trying to make sure that we keep him rolling throughout the rest of the season. We still got a lot of football left, and we want to be able to make sure that we have a strong 16-game season from him.